Welcome to the Steelers by the Lake podcast. My name is James Strong, joined once again by my co-host Cody Tanner. Cody, how are you on this fine Tuesday evening?
James, I am doing all right. You actually forgot, James. It's a
Victory Monday.
There we go. It obviously is not Monday. It is Tuesday. We had a schedule conundrum happen yesterday where we weren't able to record. That's okay. We're here now. We're recording for you guys. And oh my Lanta, it is a Victory Monday, Victory Tuesday. It's a victory week, James, at this point. Let's be real. But there's not a lot in my mind to be happy about, kind of. There's a few things. There's a few very big things, but there's also many question marks in the air, many concerns, many things that we are going to talk about before this show is over. And we're going to start off going over some of the things that happened before this previous Raiders game. James, let's talk about a couple injury and promotions that happened. You want to start us off with there?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's a weird feeling, isn't it? It doesn't feel like coming off of a win.
No.
In a dominating win when you look at the scoreboard, but man, it feels real weird on this one. We're going to get into all that, like Cody said. So first move, Pittsburgh unfortunately did place the Marvin Leal, the outside linebacker / defensive end, on the injured reserve. That means that neck injury is bad enough to sideline him for a little while. Kind of a similar situation to what we saw with Corey Trice earlier in the season, which I think he's going to be eligible to return soon here. So hopefully we start hearing about him. Be nice to get him back into the secondary. Also, the Steelers then took outside linebacker Ade Ogundeji and promoted him to the 53-man roster from the practice squad. That was an official promotion elevation, not just like the game day thing.
Foreshadowing, it doesn't matter, but that's fine.
It doesn't matter now, yeah. And then the two elevations from the practice squad, which is just for the game day where they go back down afterwards, the outside linebacker Eke Leotu, and then running back Jonathan Ward.
I liked when you said Leotu like that. Leotu. Okay, anyways. Yeah, the Jonathan Ward one's one we kind of expected. Leotu's obviously because of the outside linebacker injuries we've been dealing with. Jaylen Warren was removed from the injury list before the game as well. That was huge. He wound up playing. Not a whole lot of play time. I don't mind that at all. We still got the dub. Let him get healthy. We'll go from there. But we are going to talk Steelers-Raiders football game now. And James, what a game. And I don't say that in any kind of like, what a game. Woo. Like
yeah,
what the frick, man? I mean, Pittsburgh had a 12-7 lead at halftime. It felt kind of rough. It was very slow start per usual. I also did some fact checking as I was at work today, and I shared this with you before the show, just so everyone knows. Pittsburgh's scoring average per quarter, we averaged 2.7 points in the first quarter. We don't even average a field goal in the first quarter. When I for the last 2 years, when I've been complaining about how we start slow, James, we don't even average a field goal in the first quarter.
That is the definition of slow.
Second quarter, we average 4.7 points the second quarter, so a little bit over a field goal.
Better. So you're saying there's a chance.
In the third quarter, we averaged 2 Boswell field goals with 6 points. And in the fourth quarter, we averaged 7.3 points, which means we're finally getting a touchdown in the fourth quarter. Now there's
imagine if there were 5 quarters.
We'd probably have a touchdown and a half at that point.
10 points.
Not
10
even.
Points in the
not
fifth
even.
quarter.
That's not how. That is not. It doesn't go up that large at all.
But the gap from the 4 to the 7, maybe.
That's a half. That's a whole half. 4.7 to 7 is the whole second half. Oh man. I don't know, James. It just felt like another slow grinder. I don't know why I feel like we're trying to do too much controlling the pace of the game when we can't even control our own pace. I don't want to go out there and control the clock when we can't put up points. We need to focus on putting up points, not running the ball and making sure the clock's rolling down, blah, 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 this and that. Our defense, and I told this to my buddy Dylan Sonny, who joined us on the show a few weeks ago, Our defense is the only reason we have any wins this year, and I will stand by that. Whether it's giving Justin Fields and the offense a short field to go score 3 points. In this game, luckily, we got 7 on a 7-yard drive. That's all we had to go was 7 yards. Luckily, we scored a touchdown on that drive. But I don't know what it is, or if it's the defense just making sure the other team doesn't put up enough points. Holding this team to 13 points isn't that impressive in my mind when you process that Aiden O'Connell was their quarterback. First time him really getting any action this year. And other than that, I just wasn't impressed with the team again.
And like you said, to kind of reiterate your most recent point here, starting running back did not play in this game. Top 2 wide receivers did not play in this game. This was a very banged up Raiders roster. So you should beat them up. You should put a lot of points on them.
Yep.
But the reason that Cody and I both sound a little bit frustrated today is because we just didn't see it on the offensive side, right? And it's crazy to say when we put up 32 points and it was the highest scoring game for the Steelers this entire season so far that it's a disappointing offensive performance, but they wouldn't have got that many points if they didn't start so many possessions in such favorable position. Like Cody said, one of the drives started at the opposing 7-yard line, only had to go 7 yards. Another one at the 9, only had to go 9 yards to score.
And we didn't score a touchdown on that drive.
Yeah. Another one at the 30-yard line, only had to go 30 yards to get a touchdown. Like, these are the positions that our defense and special teams put the offense in, and you better get 30 points on the board when you're getting that many short possessions. It felt a little discombobulated. The rushing game was the best part of the offense this week, which is not something that we've been saying the last couple of weeks. It's been basically since the beginning of the season that we were able to say that when they were getting 130, 140 yards rushing a game back then. This game, the rushing game was back at it, right? But the passing game struggled.
And the rushing game wasn't there the whole time. It took in my mind too long to develop. The game, I feel like Najee was running hard the whole time. And I was impressed with his ability this week, and I was impressed with a lot of things. There were some things that ticked me off, and our buddy Nick Pretzel, friend of the podcast, will tell you, because I watched the game at the hotel bar with him. If you haven't visited the hotel bar in Edinburgh, Pennsylvania, go visit it out. Check it out. It's a good time. Pat, the owner, is a great dude, and good food, good atmosphere, good Steelers bar. James.
Big time Steelers bar.
Big time Steelers bar. I'm just frustrated with the fact that there were so many plays that we run sweeps with Najee. Now, I understand he scored on a sweep play technically, or an outside handoff, either way. But Najee's strength is very much like Derrick Henry. You get him moving downfield, and he's hard to stop. We saw that multiple times. He ran up the gut or off the tackle and got a first down. The number of 10-plus yard runs we had in this game by far surpasses anything we've had all year, especially from Najee. But I'm frustrated because Jaylen Warren's the guy you want to send outside. Even Jonathan Ward or Aaron Shamklin, one of those guys, they're a little bit quicker. Send him outside. Najee, I'm tired of seeing him try to fight to get to the line of scrimmage. I'm tired of seeing him have to run 15 yards right before he can get any forward momentum. If he's running this way, he's not building up that steam, that power that he has as a running back. We're not using him correctly half the time. I'm hoping that this game shows them, oh, hey, we can use him right now. But going back to what you said, James, that drive that there was like 30 yards to go or whatever. I don't remember exactly what it was. The first drive in the second quarter, 4 plays, negative 10 yards, field goal.
Oh, yeah, brutal.
Like we went backwards 10 yards on a whole drive and scored off of it.
Yeah.
And I'm not putting
a holding penalty.
I believe it was the holding. No, that was the. I think it was the fumble.
Oh, the backwards pass that was ruled.
It was the backward pass. Yep.
Yeah.
And so it was the backward pass, and then it was also the penalty against Justin Fields for illegal forward pass. First play in the second half.
Past the line.
It was so close. Not really.
I didn't think it's very close.
No, it wasn't close at all. But I was processing the fact that it was close to a Pat Fryman touchdown, which would have been nice.
Oh, yeah. That's the part that sucks on that, is that you really, if you could have just got that ball out a little bit earlier,
and we talked about
it wouldn't have been there.
And we talked about this during the game, and I wish I had the 22-man footage, because I don't know if a defender was in front of Pat and those guys. And then, because he's rolling to the right, so the defense naturally moves with him. I wonder if there was a defender in front of Pat and then he moved over because there was another receiver on that side. I don't know who it was outside of the two guys.
Van Jefferson.
But Van Jefferson was in the back of the end zone too. Like they both got their hands on that. But there was a third guy further right than them. So I wonder if that pulled the defender or not. I don't know.
In kind of what I'm meaning when I say that is more so, I just wish he would have stayed behind the line when he threw it.
That's fair. Yeah.
Maybe the last step is a step to the right instead of a step forward. Then he throws the ball and Pat gets another touchdown. That's what I really want from that play, you know?
Yeah. And going back, and we're going to talk numbers. We're going to go through this. I'm heated about this game. Two of the touchdown drives were extended by penalty. Now, one of those penalties was a roughing the passer that I absolutely agree with. Where the player landed on Justin Fields with all of his weight. That's as much as people will complain that that's not football. I understand that complaint. I understand how football has gone a lot more player safety. I get that, but I'm not mad at that call or saying that's a bad call because by all definitions that the whole NFL should know now, that is a roughing the passer. Now there was a second roughing the passer called that I did not agree with whatsoever, and I can't find film of it anywhere. But that's beside the point. So two touchdown drives extended due to questionable roughing the passer calls. The one was good. I don't think the other one was. And then a 1 touchdown, 7-yard drive. It's just sad. And then even on top of that, James, I have something else here. I don't know where it is. The last touchdown we had. Oh, that was that was the one play, 7 yards. And even the field goal we had, it was 6 plays. The last field goal in the game was 6 plays, 18 yards.
Whew.
Like, you're trying to put a game away. Don't get me wrong. I understand that at that point we're up by 19. But still, it's just, I was upset with the output of offense. I don't blame it on any specific individual. I think it comes down to decision-making, injuries in that offensive line specifically. And then, I mean, even George Pickens, the number of drops he had in this game. He dropped a touchdown pass. I don't know what to be frustrated with the offense other than the offense. And so we'll get to this conversation at the end of the show. But I want to highlight it now just briefly. I don't think a quarterback change fixes the offensive problems. But James, we're going to get to that in a little bit. Let's talk this game. Let's talk the game.
I think it just gives you different problems.
Drastically.
Yeah.
There's so many times that Justin Fields was able to extend a play and run the ball down and run for a touchdown or run for 10 yards or 7 yards. And Russell's not going to be able to do that.
And let's not act like Russell Wilson's a statue because he's always been a very athletic quarterback throughout his career.
Yep.
But he's also 35 years old.
He's also shorter than Justin.
Yeah, this is not late stage like Matt Ryan, where he was a complete statue and couldn't move at all. This is still a mobile quarterback, but Justin Fields is an elite mobile quarterback. And there's a big difference between the two of those. So yeah, do you want to start having the Justin Fields conversation about his game throughout this day or what, Cody?
I don't know, man. I just...
You don't know if you want to have the conversation?
I don't know if I want to have the conversation right now. I mean, we still have a Friday show to talk about the next game.
Let's talk about let's be like blatant real about this, right? So part of the reason that Pittsburgh scored as many points as they did is because Justin Fields was electric with running the football, whether it was designed runs or whether it was him scrambling on plays that either broke down or just that ended up the best option was him scrambling, right?
Yep.
But at the same point in time, some of the incompletions, there were a few inaccurate passes, some 50-50 balls, maybe some balls that the placement wasn't so good. That's part of why the offense didn't continue drives and keep them going as much as they did. But we could have had a couple touchdown passes. We could have very easily had 2 turnovers from Justin Fields. He had an interception that he threw that got overturned because of roughing the passer, which was a good penalty. He got hit high. He got driven into the ground. He got landed on. All 3 of those are violations. All 3 happened on the play.
Yep.
He also had the throw to Jalen Warren in the flat where he threw it backwards and it was so far behind Jalen Warren that he was unable to catch it. turns out to be a fumble when you do it because it's technically a lateral because it went backwards behind the line.
Yep.
That one's on him too. Could have easily been 2 turnovers in the game. With a little bit of luck, it's no turnovers in the game. And how is this narrative different if those turnovers happen? And how many times have we talked about this season? More primarily with like the center quarterback exchanges, which I'm very happy to say he has cleaned that up. Right, this is 2 weeks in a row we haven't seen that issue.
Not
so
once.
That's cleaned up.
Even with the injury to the center position, that's been cleaned up. So that's big.
Yeah. But there's been some really good luck on Justin Fields' behalf on these not becoming turnovers.
Okay, so if we're gonna talk pros and cons, Justin, we'll talk pros and cons. Russell. Yeah. Russell's a shorter individual.
Absolutely.
He's already known not to use the middle of the field. We saw the progression that Justin Fields had from no passes inside the hash marks to a few in week 2 and then a lot in week 3. And we've seen consistent improvement there. That's on our Facebook page if you want to go check it out. We've seen those passing improvements. Are we going to now regress in what the offense can do from a passing standpoint? Sure, he might be more accurate, but if you're not using the middle field, you become one-dimensional in the passing game. You're using the outside, you're using the flats, you're not going deep. Are we handicapping an already handicapped offense? Are we,
And I definitely understand the concern there. I would say that with the 9 Pro Bowls under his belt, you're going to get a quicker decision, which is going to get guys in a little more favorable position, most likely. Diagnosing the defense is definitely an advantage on Russell Wilson over Justin Fields because of his experience. But there's no questioning the fact that Justin Fields is a more athletic guy who's going to give you more in those breakdown situations and those ability to run situations.
So for those of you that don't know or can't tell, James is a little bit more team Russell Wilson, and I am a little bit more team Justin Fields. But it's interesting.
And I'm not necessarily pro Russell Wilson in this. I'm just saying that what we're seeing from Justin Fields consistently here, like he's heading in the wrong direction with his passing right now. The last 2 games, he was barely over 50% on his completions. And yeah, there's a couple dropped balls in there, but it's not like there's 7 or 8 drop balls in there. It's only a couple in these games.
I think it was 3 or 4 this game, if I'm not mistaken.
So that moves the needle a little bit, but if we're going to play that into his favor, then we also have to say, okay, well, then you give him an interception and a fumble that he could have had very easily too, but lucked out and didn't have. You're going to have some give and take in these games. So you can't only look at one side of it there when you're talking about that.
My frustration comes from a point where we're 4-2.
Yeah.
We have received, Justin Fields number wise is 10 touchdowns, obviously mostly rushing, and 1 interception. You're gonna look at your fan base, you're gonna look at your team and say, winning games and not turning the ball over is not enough. We're gonna go with Russell. My concern is what happens if he comes in and doesn't play well? At what point are you okay? Like if he has 2 interceptions in the first half on Sunday, he's playing Sunday night against the Jets, and 2 interceptions in the first half, are you taking him out or are you riding with him and giving him a chance to earn the starting role kind of the same way, similar to how you did with Justin, when in reality, Justin never lost it. Justin's led us to a 4-2 record. Okay, Justin hasn't led us. Justin has glided with the defense.
Though. The quarterback gets credit for that.
Yep.
The quarterback gets credit. As much as people like to say wins and losses are not a quarterback statistic, they are absolutely something a quarterback is judged by.
Yep.
In fact, people love to talk about how Justin Fields' win record in Chicago was like 10 wins and 28 losses or something very atrocious, right? 4-2 is a great start.
4-2 is a phenomenal start, especially when you process the injuries on the offensive line.
Yes. And the fact that the number 2 wide receiver situation has been a nightmare so far.
And I think don't get me started on that.
I think that you're thinking that I'm going to sit here and say bench Justin Fields. I'm not saying that.
Okay.
I think that's what you're thinking I'm going with.
I feel like you want to see Russell.
Here's where I'm at with this. Justin Fields has not been bad enough to lose the starting job yet.
I would agree.
I also think that it is got to be a quick trigger on this, that you can't just sit there and wait. If we lose to the Jets and Giants in the next 2 weeks, you cannot start Russell Wilson after the bye.
I would agree with that. I would agree with that if we don't see improvement, if they're like if we're continuing the same kind of output that we're seeing now or worse. I think if we saw any kind of improvement, touchdown passes, more rushing touchdowns, no turnovers, whatever, no turnovers that are, taken off the board by penalties, all that stuff. I understand that. But I don't think that putting Russell Wilson in is a good look for the team or the coaching staff in my mind. Now, Mike Tomlin, the man, the myth, the legend who can talk his way out of a parking ticket. I mean, the way that he talks and does interviews, he's so strategic about what he allows himself to say, what he does say, his mannerisms. I mean, all the things, his little Tomlinisms. I'm frustrated and annoyed if we make this quarterback change because I don't think it's warranted yet. I
agree with you. I think that they need to start Justin Fields this upcoming game. But if he struggles too much, Russ is healthy now.
I agree.
But I think you can't give him as long of a leash with a healthy Russell Wilson as you could with an unhealthy one. Yeah. You were never going to pull Justin Fields while he was struggling and put Kyle Allen out there. That's not going to happen.
Yes.
But it's a different story with Russell Wilson, and that's where my frustration comes in.
And a lot of people believe that if that interception...
I want to see him succeed. I want to see Justin blow up and end this season with 18 touchdowns and only 4 interceptions, and I want to say, hell yeah, man, give him, 18 passing touchdowns because he's on his way to 18 rushing touchdowns. Let's be honest. And even total touchdowns, he might still get there.
He might.
But I want to see that. And I want the biggest problem Pittsburgh to have at the end of the season to be, how many years do we extend Justin Fields for? I want that. Because the kid's young and he's got all the potential in the world.
I talked to Dylan Sonny about this today. At this point, he has at least earned himself an extension. He is at least a solid backup. At least.
I don't think he would take backup money, though. I think that's the thing.
Well,
but I agree that Pittsburgh should at least be interested in bringing him back at this point, that he has done enough to show you, hey, I can win 4 out of 6 games in a situation where maybe we're only favored to win half of them.
Yep.
He's doing a good job so far. I want more out of him.
All right, we got to reel it back in, James. We got to, because we can talk this whole time.
Let's move on. Yeah, let's move to Najee Harris. Let's talk about the enjoyment of seeing Najee Harris have his best rushing game of the entire season so far, and actually making people miss in the hole, Cody. We have not seen this
Don't
season.
Even say he made a miss in the hole. He made a miss in open field. He was beyond the hole at that point.
Okay, like a step past it, but
he
still,
was a step. It's a big man.
He juked that young man all the way out of both of his shoes.
And I'm just mad that he missed
on the field.
I'm mad he missed the stiff arm after that.
Oh God, dude, he was going for 6 if he landed it.
I'm so mad he missed that stiff arm. That was a good job by the
defender to bat that arm down and not allow him to land that stiff arm. Otherwise, we're talking about that 70-yard touchdown run in addition to the 30-yard one.
Yeah.
But let's be real, man. It was a different gear from Najee this week. He looked way quicker. He looked more explosive. He looked more decisive in where he was going and showed that speed on the left side there. We saw him go on that toss, that sweet play along the left side. Yep. He got the corner. He outran people and then extended for the touchdown and got it. And honestly, maybe it's just the white socks that he pulled up to his knees. I don't know, but he looked faster in this game, and I'm happy to see it. Maybe it's the pressure of Jaylen Warren back. I don't know.
That touchdown run was the longest of his career.
Was it?
Longest run of his career. Longest run of his career.
30, it was 30 yards on the dot. It was right around 30.
36. Yeah. His long before that was 32 from what I see.
Well, here's my perspective on this game from Najee. Let's enjoy it. Najee had a great game. Maybe it's the pressure of Jaylen Warren back. Maybe they blocked it up better. Maybe they called some different plays. Maybe it's a combination of all these things. But I don't think it hurt that he's starting to build more of a relationship with Pat Freiermuth, because let's think about that one run where it went up the middle. He looked like he's only going to get a yard or two. Pat starts pushing the pile. Next thing you know, they're
Darnell
10, 12 yards downfield.
Darnell was in on that.
Darnell got in on there on the end of it, but it was mostly Najee and Pat Freiermuth for that.
Yep.
And it cannot be undersold. You were talking about it last week about get these guys out there playing paintball together. I don't care what they're doing.
They went to the hockey game.
And they went to a hockey game together. You can't tell me those two weren't bonding this week. And then you see Pat busting his behind blocking for Najee and Najee having his best game. It's no coincidence.
Every single NFL team, every single sport team, in my opinion, should have a team morale manager. And that is someone who plans specific friend dates for these players to go on, and they go and do enjoyful things. Cute. James, me and you need a friend date. Anyways.
Let's go.
But no, with that being said, Najee had a great game. Najee, 14 carries, 106 yards, averaged 7.6 a carry, had the one touchdown. Awesome. That's fantastic. Justin Fields outshined him a little bit on the rushing with 2 touchdowns. That's just how it goes. 59 yards on 11 carries. Jonathan Ward came in and ran hard as well. 3 carries, 13 yards, 4.3 average. Jaylen Warren obviously still struggling with the injuries. And I'm frustrated because I don't feel like they put Jaylen Warren in good situations whenever he was running the ball. I felt like there were a lot of times where he was getting hit, similar to how Najee was at or behind the line of scrimmage. 6 carries for 7 yards, nothing crazy there. Shamplin had 1 rush for -2 yards. But as a team, James, over 150 yards rushing, 183 total, 3 rushing touchdowns. My frustration here, Mr. Mike Tomlin and Arthur Smith, we will not win any, quote me on this, any of our second half of the year games if we continue to average 2.7 points in the first quarter.
Fair.
None of those games we're winning. I don't care if we're playing Deshaun Watson. I don't care. I don't know. With 2.7 in the first, we're getting railed.
They are already trading away their top assets. They traded away Amari Cooper today for a 3rd-round pick. They're giving up on the season, so you might be able to pull it off against the Browns right now.
No, because they're going to start their backup, and we're going to have no film on them, and they're going to tear us up like the freaking Ravens have done with Tyler
Huntley. Have all been in the league for years, man. It's Jerry Jeudy, and then it's that quick dude from the Jets.
No. Backup quarterback. I'm not talking.
Oh. The backup's Jameis Winston. Everybody has tape on him. He throws more interceptions than.
But his eyes are fixed now. He got LASIK. Like, what the heck, man? I don't know.
They got to start better. Got to have faster starts, more points at the beginning of the game. I'm with you. That's why that was one of my keys from last week to this week. I wanted at least 10 points in the first half. They got 12. They weren't playing from behind. It makes it easier in the second half when you're not playing from behind.
It makes it easier.
Let's talk about this wide receiver core, Cody.
All right, let's talk about him. George Pickens targeted 8 times on the game, 3 catches. I think 3 or 4 of those missed were drops, one of them being in the end zone.
I don't know about 3 drops. And that one in the end zone was a 50 ball. The defender had his hands all over that. So I don't count that really as a drop.
I count it as a drop. His hand was on it. Listen,
so
coaching
defenders.
In high school, I was told if your hands were on the ball, you catch the ball. Coach Wheeler from General McLean High School in Pennsylvania, dude was cocky, but he was rude and he was a decent coach.
But he was rude too.
Whatever.
That's back-to-back insults, Cody.
That's fine. He was a horrible person.
Wow.
No, I'm just kidding. He did walk away from a drill where I dislocated my kneecap. Didn't even say anything to me as my head coach and just walked away. I got taken to the hospital.
Stud.
Yeah, great guy. Chemistry teacher. We didn't have any. 3 receptions for George Pickens, 53 yards, 17.7 average. The stat line looks good until you see the fact that he was targeted 8 times.
Yeah. And it's frustrating for him too, because on the one play, he has an easy touch, ball's badly underthrown. He came back to it and made a really nice sliding catch.
Very nice catch.
If it's in stride, it's an easy touchdown. So I think there's frustrations on both sides of this. Probably for George with the accuracy of the balls, probably for Justin on him not catching everything thrown his way.
Yep. It's definitely a combination of all of the things, and we'll get to talk about that. Calvin Austin in the game. Targeted 5 times, 2 catches for 36 yards. I love to see Calvin Austin get involved. Najee Harris had 2 catches for 16 yards. Pat Freiermuth, 2 catches for 16 yards. Those 2 buddies, they're just matching now, aren't they? Jaylen Warren, 3 catches for 11. Darnell got involved with 1 catch for 9, and Connor Hayward got involved with 1 catch for 4. Overall, 145 yards passing. not a horrible day, but in the NFL nowadays, you got to see 250 to get wins. If we don't have our defense, this is
220, 230
minimum.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for our defense, turnovers, blocks, all the things that we're about to get to here shortly, this game is, in my mind, lopsided. And I don't think it's a pretty lopsided for us.
I'd like to note that one of the things I called for pre-game show was for Pittsburgh to throw the ball to Najee and even maybe start the game off throwing. First offensive play, they threw the ball to Najee. Clearly, Mike Tomlin, a listener to the podcast. Appreciate you, Mike.
Yeah, we'd appreciate it if you called us on Sundays and put us in ear with Arthur Smith. Hey, first down. Let's not throw the ball behind the line of scrimmage. Anyways, that didn't happen that often. I'm just complaining at this point.
No. Let's talk the O-line and then let's move to defense. So,
yeah.
Overall with these guys, Dan Moore missed a block early in the game, got beat badly for a sack, but rebounded and was pretty good the rest of the game. Broderick Jones struggled with Max Crosby the whole game. You really would like to see better from him. Max Crosby is one of the best pass rushers in the NFL, so that is a tall task, but you have to do that if you're a starting offensive lineman. Zach Frazier, and I thought the interior guys did a pretty good job this game, and I think that is really a measurement by the running game, right? Like, you don't get that kind of performance if your interior guys aren't doing a job. So sucks to see Zach Frazier go down with the ankle injury. Sounds like he avoided anything super serious, but he's at least going to be out 1 week.
So breaking news, Najee Harris is getting steroid tested today. Just kidding. No, I was very frustrated with the offensive line. There's an aspect.
Pass blocking was not incredible. It was not, but it was a better game for them run.
It was. I will give them that. And there's also an aspect that Justin Fields needs to get the ball out quicker, this and that. But there's also the aspect that sometimes the blocking needs to happen. And here's where I'm frustrated with it. I don't know if it was just it was probably just luck that they blitzed where they did on the one play. But we did a play that Dan Campbell and the Detroit Lions did, and they scored a touchdown on it. That stupid end around flea flicker.
Yeah.
And we couldn't make that work. We got sacked with like a loss of like 18 or something stupid.
Divine Diablo came unblocked off of the blind side, and that was just ugly.
I don't like when we're trying to be fancy when we can't do the normal things right. And so I was a little frustrated with that. I don't blame that on the offensive line necessarily.
That wasn't on them.
It was another man that they couldn't pick up. Blitzwise, Pat Freiermuth tried, didn't make it work. I wish Pat would have not pitched it and just taken off. I think he would have gotten some yards, honestly, if you look back at the play. But I'm just frustrated with the offensive line playing the way they are because, again, I'm very concerned that if you throw Russell Wilson behind this offensive line, one, he can't see over him. Two, he's going to have to move and try to make it work, and he's not as mobile as Justin Fields is. But let's not talk too much about these guys. Let's switch to the defensive side of the ball. Specifically defensive line. Cam Hayward had himself a game. He had a sack, tackle for loss, hit the quarterback twice, 4 tackles total. Keanu Benton had a fumble recovery, as well as I think two tackles on the game. Larry Ogunjobi, 2 tackles on the game. Not a whole lot from that D line, but they were there. They were forcing things to happen. They forced plays to be extended, or TJ Watt gave TJ Watt time to get in there and do the things that he did. Forced a couple runs out to the right where I don't think they wanted to run at TJ. They wanted to run beside him and past him, but luckily TJ was there. Overall, I do think it was a good game from Cam Hayward. Cam Hayward had a lot of pressure that wasn't necessarily tracked by stats.
Yeah,
so.
And I would say it was a dominating game by TJ. He graded out again. In fact, per PFF, he is the second highest graded defensive tackle in the entire NFL right now. With 3 sacks on the season now. Cam Hayward, yes. He's just having a very good season, which proves that last year was just the groin injury. He's far from done in his career and really making that extension look like one heck of a deal, man. Because the premier D tackles are getting $20 million a year plus, and would we pay him $15 million on the extension per year? So yeah, what a bargain that was. We got to get out of these other guys. Still not seeing the pressures that we need to from Larry Ogunjobi. Even Keanu Benton doesn't seem to get as much pass rush juice as he was getting last year, and definitely not getting it from the second crew either with Montravius Adams, Isaiah Loudermilk. It's just not coming.
Yeah.
So I would like to see what we get when Logan Lee comes out of the injured reserve later on in the season. If he's able to come back, we'll see if they're able to do that or not. He is eligible to. Whether or not he comes back, who knows? They got to get that figured out, though. It can't just be Cam and TJ. And part of this, obviously, is Alex Highsmith was out in this game. Nick Herbig was out in this game. DeMarvin Leal was out in this game. So the next three best pass rushers were all out, and they would all obviously normally be on the opposite side of TJ. Just got to have a more balanced pass rush attack. It was nowhere near balanced enough. TJ tried. He was getting double and triple teamed all game long. But again, you have to give TJ credit. When he can't affect the game as a pass rusher, he affects it as a run defender like no one else in the league can. With 2 forced fumbles in this game, both of them punch outs, just looking like Mike Tyson out there. If he punches the ball, it's coming out in just incredible fashion. And one of those was at the 1-yard line. The score. TJ saved the day basically in this game. Let's be real. It would have been a lot closer. Would have been a lot closer of a game if it wasn't for TJ and what he did on defense.
Yeah.
So just an incredible performance by him. And while we're talking outside linebackers, I thought Jeremiah Moon got a little pressure during this game. And
he got a lot of pressure on a 4th down on a block punt, man.
I've never seen somebody block a punt with their chest face before.
Oh, was it his chest?
It hit him in the chest. He had so much penetration. So what an awesome job. Pittsburgh registers their first blocked punt on the season. They already have a blocked field goal on the season from Loudermilk. So we're starting to see those special teams really shine. And Danny Smith really showing why he's such a valuable coach, right?
Yep. Danny Smith, the man, the myth, the legend. So, yeah, I mean, overall, that outside linebacker room is showing an insane depth. I mean, you had 2 arguable starters. Obviously, one's not listed as a starter, but 2 starting caliber outside linebackers out, and you're still getting pressure and big plays from the backups, which is just incredible to see. With that being said, interior linebackers, Peyton Wilson had a tackle for loss, had 6 tackles. I thought he had one of his better games that we've seen. You just didn't notice it if you're not paying attention for him. Landon Roberts had a tackle for loss as well, 5 tackles on the game. And then you obviously also saw, where's he at?
Patrick Queen.
Look
to the top of your list, buddy.
13 total tackles. Great game from him. I don't know if Minka was hurt this game. I think I saw him get hurt at some point, but he was not on that tackle list.
He had a shoulder injury. He was able to game, so he didn't miss a lot of time. But I was really, really excited about this performance from Patrick Queen. I thought he was just everywhere. And when he tackled people, he did it with force. He wasn't dragging people to the ground.
Yep.
He was hitting people. He was muscling them down. He was getting people backwards after hitting them. I just thought a very, very strong performance from Patrick Queen. I would say probably his best performance so far as a Steeler. And that was really, really promising to see. And I really think Peyton Wilson is developing and getting to a point where, other than short yardage situations, you're really not going to use Elandon Roberts. Now, Elandon Roberts is just as valuable as it gets in short yardage because he's such a awesome run stuffer. But at the same point in time, man, Peyton Wilson, he covers some ground, brother. And he can learn a thing or two from Patrick Queen and really take it to the next level. I think with his athleticism, he can end up a better linebacker than Patrick Queen. And that's saying something since Patrick Queen's coming off of an All-Pro and Pro Bowl appearance last year.
Yeah.
So overall, I'm very encouraged by the performance from the middle linebackers in this game.
Yeah. Great game for them. Secondary, I thought they had a good game overall. Dante Jackson got his 3rd interception of the season, so he is
Another
tied.
One that was kind of a gift too.
I know, but he is tied for.
he caught the ball and he had one really nice return afterwards.
He did have a nice return.
So we got to give the kid credit. He's got good hands. He's got good skills with running the ball afterwards.
Yep. And he's now tied for number of touchdowns to interceptions as Deontay Johnson. So Deontay Johnson, who we traded for Dante Jackson, has 3 touchdowns on the season.
Okay.
Dante Jackson has 3 interceptions. That's a good trade-off. If you can keep up with a wide receiver who gets touchdowns and have as many interceptions as he has touchdowns, I'll take those numbers. I will.
And look at the track record of Steelers cornerbacks in recent history. How many of them are getting to 3 interceptions, right? Has it been since Joe Hayden, since we had in a season that's a corner?
It's probably, yeah.
I mean, it just has not been a position group that has been giving us a lot of production as far as interceptions. And maybe, you know, now that I think about it, what's his name? Ryan Wallace. I think he had a few picks here and there. So he might have had a year where because he had a few of those gift interceptions as well.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. Which I think Levi Wallace was the year we talked about. Yeah. Levi Wallace was the year we talked about, you know, a good corner will get 2 or 3 interceptions off of being a good corner and then another 2 or 3 off of being in the right place at the right time. Yeah. And part of that comes from playing your role, doing your job, staying home, all those things that you hear people talk about in the football world. But let's talk about a couple of these other guys. I thought Joey Porter had a good game. I didn't think he got burned or beat too bad at any specific point. Beanie Bishop had himself a good game. That
much better.
That tackle for loss on that screenplay was amazing. That felt
he had a tip
almost
pass later on too.
That almost felt Sauce Gardner-esque. I mean, Sauce Gardner. I'm not trying to make the comparison, but like that specific play, or maybe I'm even thinking probably Travis Hunter for Colorado, where I remember one play last year or this year where he ran up and slid under a block to make a tackle on a screenplay. That's what that felt like. Was a phenomenal play by Beanie Bishop on that specific play. I remember seeing that. Terrell Edmonds had 2 tackles, and then moving on from that, Deshaun Elliott had 6 tackles. Deshaun Elliott was a hammer today on Sunday. He was big hits after big hits, making some plays. Was real excited to see him going. We obviously talked Minka. Miles Killebrew had a tackle. But overall, I mean, the secondary didn't get burned super bad. We gave up 71 yards to a tight end, but other than that, we kept everyone else under 40 yards receiving. And
this is an elite move tight end too.
Oh my gosh, yeah, Brock Bowers.
This is a guy that people are putting their number 1 corner on. So if he only got 71 yards against you, he did pretty good because you expect him to have big days against you. So yeah, I thought overall secondary was not too bad.
No, not bad.
Not elite. Made some plays. Didn't get burned too bad. So overall, I'll take it out of them. If we move to special teams, obviously Chris Boswell, another game where he's 4 for 4 on field goals, hits his extra points. Looks like you've got a point.
Boz for president.
Boz for president, baby. yeah. What a season for him. He's just doing a great job. Jalen Warren did have 1 kick return for 26 yards, which I thought he looked pretty good. I thought he had some pretty good explosion going on there. So that's why I felt like maybe his run plays were a little bit more bad luck because I thought he looked pretty quick on that kick return.
That was early in the game, was it not?
Yes.
I think he got hit low on that play too, so he might have re-aggravated that knee a little bit. I think that's what happened.
Hope he didn't.
So uncertain there. Minka Fitzpatrick listed as a kick return as well. That was just the onside kick.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, I mean, Corliss Waitman, 3 punts for 137 yards, 2 inside the 20. We'll take that.
It's a good average. 45.7 is a good average. We'll take it.
Yeah, especially with 2 inside the 20. We'll absolutely take that. But again, overall, I mean, the passion we have for this offense is due to the lackluster of what the outcome has been with what the input should be. If you process I feel like we'll make it a technology example. I have a combination of massive cabling plugging into something with the input we're doing with the running backs that we have on the team. The talent at tight end is, I don't think there's another team in the NFL with as deep and talented as a tight end group as we have. Yeah, even if you include the top 3 in my mind. And then the wide receivers. Calvin Austin is a phenomenal player, but we're watching like 720p 720p, 720i footage of what this team can do when we should be putting out 4K content, and it's not happening. For those of you that aren't nerds like us and didn't work at Best Buy, you don't get those things. It's fine. But I don't know. I'm just frustrated with, I mean, we put up 32 points and I'm frustrated, but that's because like 30 of those 32, okay, not 30, but like literally 21 of those 32 were like hand gifted to us on a platter. Yeah. If you take away those 21 points, it's what, 11 to 13? That's concerning.
extremely, right? And we wouldn't be this passionate about it if we didn't care, right? It's because we see the potential in what these players can do that it's frustrating that we're not seeing more out of it. So we at least have to be excited for the fact that Pittsburgh was able to put up their most points of the entire season. Defense playing its part. Hey, sometimes that's what you got to do. So hopefully the next couple of weeks here, Pittsburgh can kind of put things together a little bit more, have a little bit more complete of a performance from the entire team. I think it's a favorable matchup for that for the next couple of weeks. Jets defense is a very, very, very good defense.
Very good.
They just got rid of their head coach. That was the guy that was keeping that defense so good. So you might be able to start poking some holes in this defense a little bit more with Robert Saleh no longer there. So we'll get into that with our show later on this week, though. We're looking to record one hopefully early afternoon on Friday for you guys.
Yes, sir.
So we'll keep you in the loop on that. A few things happened after the game. Updates on the injuries. Zach Frazier, the ankle's bad enough that he will not be playing this upcoming week. They're hopeful for future weeks after that, but it appears as though he has avoided any really major injury to the ankle. Both Minkah Fitzpatrick and Dante Jackson had some shoulder injuries during the game. Both were able to return during the game. So it does not appear as though either one of those will come out in the future. And Alex Highsmith may possibly return this upcoming week. He started getting some limited practice last week. Mike Tomlin very optimistic that we will see him in this game this upcoming week. That's exciting. Very exciting. And then some other transactions. Do you want to cover the transactions, Cody, or you want me to run these?
Go ahead and run through them. It's not a whole lot. It's not a whole lot. So
nope, very minimal. And as Cody kind of teased earlier, outside linebacker Ade Ogundeji. So this might be the last time I have to pronounce that name this season. He has been released. They also released wide receiver Jeray Jenkins from the practice squad and signed wide receiver Lance McCutcheon to the practice squad. Also, I saw the linebacker Jacoby Wyndham got stole off our practice squad today. So
yeah,
look for a few transactions to come in the future here. And that does mean that there is a position available on the 53-man roster currently. So is somebody going to get brought up? Possibly. They usually do that on Wednesday. They get people they start that process, bringing them back from the IR on Wednesday, typically. So look for that to be a possibility this week. I think Dylan Cook is eligible to come back at this point. And I think there's one more guy, and I forget who the second guy is at this point. But I think there's one more person who is now eligible that went on early in the season. So we could see one of those gentlemen come back this week. So an exciting thing to look at. The last note I had here, we already covered. I was talking about we should have the conversation about who should start next week for the Steelers. But we already had
we had that conversation. That'll be an extended conversation later. There's a lot to discuss with that. There's a lot going on. A lot of moving parts in the Steelers offense and the Steelers lineup and everything. Quite frankly, go ahead.
It's Logan Lee.
Logan Lee's able to come back.
The other one that would be that makes sense now that I think about it.
And at that point, who are they? Who's coming off?
Logan Lee.
No. Who's coming off?
You don't. Oh, you don't have to.
I get what you're saying.
Released Ogundeji, yeah.
Because I would not at this point. I wouldn't want to get rid of any of those guys. I mean, Montravius Adams has had some good showing a little bit here and there and stuff like that. So
and you're basically just replacing Liao. So yeah.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, it's 49-minute show. We thought it was going to be a little bit longer. We could still talk about things. I mean, I'm heated about a lot of things right now. I really am. But there's a lot to be discussed. I'm excited to see what happens this week with things and what Pittsburgh decides to do. Maybe on Friday we'll have, I don't think on Friday we'll have a starting quarterback listed unless Tomlin wants to make that decision on Thursday. I don't think he's going to. Or maybe he does to boost confidence in whoever he decides to go with. I don't know how that'll work. But obviously we'll talk a little bit more of the Devontae Adams trade on Friday as well, because we're going up against him now as he went from the Raiders, who we just beat, to the Jets, who we have to play this week with Aaron Rodgers. So a lot of things. We can't thank you guys enough for listening or watching. If you're on YouTube, remember to like and follow on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Subscribe, ring the bell. It's free. It doesn't cost you a mother trucking thing. And don't forget the 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts make James here very happy. And until next time, this is your host, James and Cody, signing off.
Peace.